Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Hey guys, my name's Crystal Kenny, and I'm in love with creating. All things artistic and imagination involved. I'm an American girl who chased her creative dreams all the way to Paris, France, making a living using photography. This podcast takes you inside the stories of all the artsy folks I've met along the way and gives you that extra push to discover your creative gifts. The desire to create is deeply inside each and every one of us, and I give you the tools and inspiration to find a new way of living a more creative life. This is La Vie Creative, the podcast. Claudine Hemingway is a descendant of famed writer Ernest Hemingway. We bumped into each other at a party and decided to team up and dive deep into French history, but with a twist, by bringing a spotlight to those lesser-known creatives in France. This is History with a Hemingway. Welcome back to Paris History Avec a Hemingway. I am here with my good friend Claudine Hemingway, and we are talking about Gabrielle d'Estrées today. And I'm sure I said that wrong, but Claudine's going to give you lots of great information, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Yeah, this one is probably one that not a lot of people are going to know who she is, but when you see a famous painting that she is the subject of, and I'll put that on my website in the notes, you will say, oh, yes, I've seen her before. But Gabrielle d'Estrées, she was born around 1573. Again, another one of those, sometimes we don't know exactly once we go back in time quite a ways when they were born. But she was the daughter of Antoine d'Estrées, who was the Baron of Boulogne, and Francois Barbord de Bordésert. And she was one of 11 children.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that's a lot. 7 girls. Of those, 7 of them were girls. The lady of letters, the Marquise de Sévigné, which we are going to do another episode all about her at some point. She wrote that the girls were called the 7 deadly sins.
I believe it.
Yes. So at the court of Henry III, she met a gentleman named Roger de Bellard, and he was a close confidant of Henry III and also Henry IV. And so quickly, when Henry IV saw her, he was instantly obsessed with her. And at the time in 1590, Henry IV was involved in the siege of Paris, and he was staying up at Montmartre. And while he was there, he was sleeping with the nun, Claude de Beauvigny. And Claude would travel actually with him, and really had hoped that she would marry him because he was looking to get his marriage to Marguerite de Valois annulled because she wasn't producing an heir.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And when we did a live walk in Paris, and we did basically Rue des Bes, we brought this up because that is where the convent was. Because the whole Montmartre was basically just covered with convents and churches and everything. But it was definitely much different. I don't think nuns could carry on and have sex with people.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So it's much different then. But all of that changed when he met her cousin. Claude's cousin was Gabrielle d'Estrées. And when he saw her, he was instantly, she was there with Roger, and he just was completely enamored with her. But for 6 months, they basically kind of, it stayed in a platonic relationship. But then once that opened up, and they were carrying on with each other, he was very open of his relationship with her to everyone else, and also his love for her.
Mm. That was
So
brave.
they kept it. They were together, and at the time, he was trying to get his marriage annulled, and so he definitely wanted to marry Gabrielle once the annulment had taken place. But she, wasn't. You kind of had to marry into another royal blood or royal family, and that definitely wasn't her. But he didn't really care. So he, to keep her around and keep her close, he had her marry this gentleman, Nicholas Demerval, and on June 8th, 1592. And in return, Henry gave him a title. He was named the Baron de Bernay.
Wait, so she had to marry another dude to hang out with him?
Yeah, which is what happened a lot of time at court because that's how they would keep these women at court. So, that's what happened with Montespan and Maintenon and a lot of these women that were mistresses of the kings is they would marry them off so that they would have reason to be at court. And then a lot of times the kings would then give them a bunch of money and send the men away.
That's so funny. How smart is that?
Yeah,
Good workaround.
it's a good workaround. Yeah. So, for me to sleep with you, I'm going to marry you off.
And then give that guy a bunch of money to go away.
Yeah. And most of them seem to be just fine with that. Most of them didn't really seem to care.
I'd be fine with it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it was, they definitely weren't marriages of, undying love. It was definitely convenience. But so he went to go ask Pope Clement VIII if he could get this, his marriage annulled to Marguerite. And Clement had different ideas because he actually wanted him to marry his niece, who was Marie de Medici. And we know that is exactly what kind of had happened. Yeah. So, but he would stay with Gabrielle. They had 3 children together. They had Caesar in 1594, Caesar de Vendôme. He was legitimized in 1595, which wasn't something that always happened. When Henry signed a treaty with Philippe Emmanuel de Lorraine, he had to marry. Part of that treaty had that Caesar had to marry his daughter Francoise.
Strange.
Yeah, and Caesar was actually gay, but he still had to perform his duty and have royal children.
I didn't know Caesar was gay.
Yeah, Caesar Vendôme was gay. And against his stepmother, he was very against his stepmother, Marie de Medici, and his half-brother, Louis XIII, and Cardinal Richelieu. And he was tossed into jail at the Château Vincennes with his brother, Alexandre. And he was released after and was exiled to Holland, then to England.
Well, that's okay, as long as he got out of prison.
Yeah, he got out of prison. But he was able to return back to France when Cardinal Richelieu died, and he ended up dying at 71 years old.
Wow, he lived a long time.
He lived a long time. Their daughter, Catherine Henriette de Bourbon, was born in 1596, and she inherited her mother's entire estate after, spoiler alert, Gabrielle dies. And she married Charles de Loire, and he was of the Guise family. And the Guise family had quite the history before that with, Catherine de Medici and and Henry II, and also with the St. Bartholomew Day Massacre. She ended up having 6 kids and died at 66 years old. And then their last child, Alexander de Vendôme, was born in 1598. He died in prison. So his brother left. He went to prison with his brother. His brother left, exiled, and poor Alexander stayed back and died in prison. While
they left him in jail? Why'd they leave him in jail?
Yeah, he was still stuck in jail.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. In 1596, Henry gave Gabrielle the former chateau of Catherine de Medici, the Chateau de Monceau-les-Mieux, which is also where you will find one of the best bries in the world.
I like that information.
The brie de Meaux is oh my gosh, it's so delicious. Especially if you find it in the U.S., it's definitely, of course, not as good as when you get it in Paris or in France. But she was also given a title at the same time, which a lot of times when you give somebody a chateau, a title comes with it. She was the Marquise de Monceau and the Duchess of Beaufort.
Nice title.
I know it's not too bad. It's not too bad of a way to do it. But she kept enlarging it, and she added 4 pavilions, and she was really influential over Henry and all of his. He would look to her to make all of his decisions. And she was really big into helping him convert to Catholicism. And in July of 1593, it was official, and he was converted at Saint Denis, and that's when he said his famous words, "Paris is worth a mass."
Okay, so the nun in her never disappeared.
Yeah, well, that was her cousin. That was the nun.
So
But
he was heavily influenced by religion.
yeah, so and he was a Protestant. He was famously he married when he married Marguerite, and she had to promise Catherine, when Catherine was working on the marriage. Catherine made Henry's mother promise that she would not convert her daughter to a Protestant. So he was a Protestant, and he at one point, kind of right after they got married, kind of said he had changed over to a Catholic, because that's days after they got married was the St. Bartholomew Day massacre, and that is when thousands and thousands of Protestants were killed on the streets of Paris and tossed into the Seine, turning the Seine bloody red.
Oh, that's such a horrible story.
Such a horrible story. But he finally turned over and became Catholic. And then a year later, in February of 1594, he was crowned at Chartres Cathedral, not the Notre Dame de Reims, which is where most of the kings were crowned. So he always did something a little bit different.
Chartres is really pretty.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. So later that year, he triumphantly finally came back to Paris, and he had Gabrielle with him by his side. And basically, she served as the role of queen to him. And it was like a very public display that they came back into Paris, and here she was sitting next to him.
Aha, he was like, look, this is okay. I'm with her. Get over it.
I'm with her. Yeah. And so, of course, the people at first, were okay with her, but then, of course, they turned against her, and they called her the Duchess of Garbage.
I feel like that would be my title.
That's just horrible. The Duchess of Garbage. It's just so funny to hear. Like, that was, in the late 1500s, they called her that.
You are human garbage.
I mean, it sounds more like is that the 16th century? Like, that's as mean as it got in the playground. You're the Duchess of Garbage.
They didn't have as many words back then.
They didn't have all the words, yeah. And they thought she was spending way too much money, because she was using his money to pay for, the upgrades at the chateau and anything else. And so they were upset, thinking that she was spending all the money. I think that, like, all the queens and women of that cavorted with the kings, basically all were blamed for that.
Yeah, I think they were just jealous.
They were jealous. They were jealous of their fancy chateaus. But she still traveled. She would travel with him when he would go on these campaigns, and she'd sleep in the tent with him, even when she was really pregnant. So he didn't do, he did nothing to hide, his relationship with her at all. He was very proud of his relationship. And I think she truly was kind of the love of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're going to have to take a sad turn in the story.
So sad.
Yeah, when Henry was finally able to get his marriage annulled, and he made her husband. She was married, so they had to get rid of that. So he worked on getting that annulled, and they made the husband admit in court that he was impotent, and that was the reason why they were annulling their marriage.
Would that work in today's court?
I don't know if that would. I don't know if that would work. And or what is irreconcilable differences? Does that that come into play?
Yeah, I think it falls under that one.
Yeah, but the next day, Henry had moved her into the Louvre at the time, the Palais de Louvre, and gave her all of the Queen's rooms.
I mean, upgrade.
Big upgrade, yeah. So when the Spanish took Amiens, she gave Henry 5,000 pieces of gold to help. So she definitely had a little bit of her own money as well. and he used it to build an army. And then she would also go around to all of the other nobility and the bourgeois people of Paris and asked and raised a ton of money to help pay for the war, and also pawned all of her jewelry. So she wasn't so bad. She wasn't garbage.
Yeah, I don't hear any garbage things happening. She sounds very supportive.
She was very supportive, and she helped pay for it.
Exactly.
I mean, we don't, the gold could have originally come from Henry and the country, but
Yeah, like, here, give me this gold back.
yeah, she was giving back. She was giving back.
I like it.
But in 1599, she was pregnant for the fourth time, and all of her other pregnancies had been very easy. But this one, from the very start, it was very difficult. She was sick a lot and in pain a lot. And in April, she was 5 months pregnant, and this was a week before they were actually getting married. They were going to get married on Easter of that year, 1599. So she leaves she's out Fontainebleau with Henry, and she decides she's going to go travel to Paris. And when she was leaving, she was like crying and holding on to him and just didn't want to be parted from him. And, he's like, oh, I'll be there in a few days. And so she left. And of course, this was going to be it ends up being the last time she was going to see him. So maybe somehow she kind of knew something wasn't right. And on April 7th, she had dinner with a gentleman named Sebastian Zemet. He was an Italian that came to France with Catherine de Medici when she was moved to France and became the queen. And he was also close with Catherine's distant cousin and Henry's future wife, Marie de Medici.
It's all one big circle.
Yes. And if you recall the story of Catherine de Medici, she kind of sometimes dabbled a little in some poisoning
and sorcery,
and has been blamed to maybe have killed a few people, including Henry's mother. Yeah, remember? So she ended up, once the marriage was decided on between Marguerite and Henry, she decided to give a special gift to his mother, Jeanne d'Albert, and sent her to her glove maker. And she got a pair of gloves that were perfumed, of course, because that's how people covered their body odor when nobody bathed back then. And she died a few days later.
So do you think she had anything to do with this upcoming death?
So it could be. So the night at dinner, she wasn't feeling well, and he gave her a frosted lemon.
What is a frosted lemon?
Well, I think it's just a lemon cut in half that had sugar on it.
Okay, it was probably poison in there.
Yeah. So the next day she began to have horrible contractions and began labor. And she was only 5 months along.
Oh no.
Yeah. So this gets a little weird too. So, again, we're not doctors, but this sounds bizarre. So the baby was basically had died inside of her.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was 5 different doctors in the room around with her trying to figure out, they needed to get this baby out, when all of a sudden Gabrielle's face basically turned black.
What?
Her skin, her face and her neck turned black.
Is that a thing?
I don't know. I've never heard of that. I couldn't really find a lot about that. So maybe it's something to do with that frosted lemon.
Yeah, poison.
I just, be careful, people, when you're drinking lemonade.
Yeah, don't take frosted lemons from strangers.
Yeah, don't take frosted lemons. But when news finally reached Henry, he left Fontainebleau, of course, right away. And so this was, again, 1599. So it took a little bit longer to get into the city. But when he arrived on April 10th, she had already died, and she was just 26 years old.
Oh, she was a baby.
Yeah, such a baby. But he was horribly upset. He would wear all black in mourning, which is not something you did. Back then, monarchy in mourning, they would wear white.
Wow. So he was doing it different again.
He was doing it different. But it's so strange because back then, before a few years before that, when Mary Stuart, the Queen of Scots, married Francis, II, who was the son of Henry II and Catherine de Medici, when she got married, they got married at Notre Dame, and she stepped out of the carriage and she was wearing a white wedding dress, and everybody was shocked because royals didn't do that. White was for mourning.
That's right.
Yeah. So, which is so strange because, we just have always thought wedding dresses were white.
Yeah, I thought it was to prove you were a virgin.
Yeah. So even in the 16th century, well, I think then because they knew they were virgins because they were getting them when they were like 13.
Yeah, seriously. No questions there.
They were marrying them when they were 13 years old. But Henry was, wearing all black. It just would be weird to be wearing all white if somebody was in mourning to see that. That would, I don't know, it's just very odd. But he was very upset. He ended up organizing a funeral that was basically a funeral for a queen. And he in Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois, which is there right at the end of the Louvre. And she died pretty close to there. And so they had this huge funeral with a procession that included basically all of like a bunch of the royalty of France and even some of the other countries. And they basically walked through Paris with the cortege with her casket. She was buried at the Abbey de Montbassin, which is where her sister, one of the 7 deadly sin sisters, was actually a nun.
Oh, so she got reunited.
She got reunited with the family, but it was really sad. He was extremely sad. After the funeral, a wax effigy was set up of her. And I don't know if we've actually even brought that up in any of the episodes, but actually Henry IV, it was a very, very famous that a wax effigy was made of him. Of course, this is after Gabrielle. But he was laying on top of his own casket, and they set it up in the Salle des Caritides in the Louvre, and people would come there and have banquets and have dinner.
What?
His wax effigy.
That's so weird.
Yeah, and so he made one of Gabrielle as well. He had one made, and I'm going to do research on more about these wax effigies because it's really interesting, and I'm really wondering who the heck made them.
Yeah, seriously, like who did make them?
Because they were basically lifelike. They were like the same size of the person that died.
Madame Tussauds.
Yeah, maybe
The original.
Yeah. So he had this wax effigy. He put it in a small room next to his bedroom, and he would sit there and dine with her, and they would change her clothes twice a day.
Oh God, that's so creepy.
Isn't that weird?
That's like some Texas Chainsaw Massacre stuff.
I mean, I was all into Barbies when I was a kid, but I don't know about this.
I mean, Claudie, maybe we just don't know true love. Maybe we need to dress a wax doll up.
That's true. I'm gonna put that in my will that there needs to be a wax effigy of me. It needs to change my clothes 3 times a day.
Yeah, 3 times.
And people are more than welcome to come in and eat, have their dinner with me.
That's so strange. That's so depressing.
And it was like Henry's was apparently incredibly lifelike. There's sketches of it, but laying on top of their casket.
That's really creepy.
And looking like they're just in bed.
Yeah, that's no bueno. Don't like that.
No, it's very, very strange. But she was apparently known to be quite beautiful. She had blonde hair and blue eyes. And Jean-Pierre Babylon had said she was a beautiful cutie pie, but bland without too much spirit.
Maybe she just needed some red lipstick.
I think she needed some red lipstick. And this painting. This painting that's in the Louvre that is with her and one of her sisters, Julienne d'Estrées. It's quite famous because it's attributed to the school of Fontainebleau in 1594. And in it is two women in the foreground of the painting, and her sister Julienne is actually pinching her Gabrielle's nipple.
Oh, that painting. Yes, I've seen it in the castle. Isn't it in the castle now?
There is a copy of it at Chantilly.
Yeah, in the Loire Valley.
Yeah, and actually in Chantilly there is there's the what they think was what inspired. There's another painting that's similar to that they think that inspired the artist to paint this.
Why was she pinching her nipple?
Well, it was actually a sign of pregnancy.
Oh, so people are going to pinch my nipples if I ever get pregnant?
Yeah. It's totally a normal thing. You just walk up and pinch somebody's nipple, and apparently you're like, oh, you're pregnant.
Maybe that's like the original, like, they touch your belly now. They were just pinching nipples back in the day.
Yeah, and there's people that like get offended when people just come up and touch their rub their belly when they're pregnant. Well, hey, guess what? It could be a lot worse.
I would be offended if anyone touched my belly ever.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But in her left hand, she's holding the coronation ring that had publicly been given to her by Henry IV because he was going to marry her. So in her, like, and it's kind of down below, like they're in a bath. They looks like they're in a bath, and she's holding in her left hand this ring, and then her sister's pinching her nipple. In the background, there's a woman sitting and sewing, and then so we kind of think that she's probably sewing baby clothes.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, and they don't know there's nobody knows who the actual artist was. It's just attributed to the school of Fontainebleau.
Well, that sucks for him or her.
I know. So, and it's, quite the famous painting, and it's very funny because it's in the Louvre, and I have always gone, it's in the French painting section of the Sully wing, and I love that whole area. And anytime, like, I could just stand there looking at it, and all you do the whole time is watch people walk by snickering of all ages. Old, young, everything. Everybody's like, hee, what is that? What is that lady doing?
Yeah, it's weird.
It is a little strange. It moved. Last time I was there, it wasn't in its place, and it had been moved, and loaned out somewhere. And then they replaced it with this painting of Henry IV that I will put it on my website because this is like one of the most awesome paintings. He's standing there. He's kind of he's dressed like he's Saint Gabrielle or Saint Michel, and he looks like he's slaying a dragon. But the artist that painted him, like, his legs are like the greatest legs you've ever seen in a painting in the history of the world. Like, he's got these really sexy legs, and it's just funny. And then he has this look on his face where he's kind of like kind of this coy little impish look on his face. And so they replaced the nipple with Henry's legs.
I love that.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. So I think it's back in its place now. So hopefully when everybody could get back there shortly, they could go and see it. And I'll put all of that on my website, and I'll even put the location of where you could find the painting in the Louvre. And if you are going to go to the Louvre and you're completely overwhelmed, then you could definitely reach out to me and I could help you out with that.
I think everyone should reach out to Claudine always. And I know what I'm getting you for your birthday next year, a wax doll of yourself.
A wax effigy of myself to just like, yeah, that wouldn't be weird.
No, that's not weird at all.
That's not weird at all. I just am really curious at like where they had these made. They pretty much went out of style after Henry IV. But they had been doing that for, lots of kings and stuff had done that. And then so people could come and see them.
I mean, I think it's a great idea. I'd like a wax doll of myself made, that way everyone can remember how great it was.
Yeah, and in the age of Zoom, I mean, could you imagine? That would be so great. You just put your wax effigy up there, and it's like some boring work meeting, and there's 30 people in it. They wouldn't know the difference.
And they'd have to change my dress too, of course. Or my yoga pants. Change my yoga pants.
I mean, and also, like, how easy would that have been to change our clothes? I don't think it'd be easy at all.
Yeah, wax you'd have to be very gentle.
Yeah, and back then, I mean, in the 15th, 16th century, I mean, is wax like, I don't think is it is it squishy?
I feel like I just had this feeling that in another life that was probably my job. I had to change the clothes of the wax effigy. I wasn't a queen. I was just a servant, playing dress up.
And they could be, they could be like 5.5 feet tall.
This is also bizarre, and I love it.
And it's probably good they wore dresses, because could you imagine, like, if it was a woman, you're trying to pull on pants? And I mean, there's just so many questions about this.
I need more pictures. I need answers.
Yeah. Well, we have drawings. We don't have a lot of, we didn't have pictures back then, but there is drawings. I'll put the one up of Henry IV, with the drawing. But he basically sat there in the Salle des Caryatides, which is, the beautiful room in the Louvre. That's kind of the oldest part of the Louvre that survives. It's above ground, of course. But the Salle des Caryatides has those 4 caryatides at the end, and it's just absolutely stunning. But that used to be like their reception room. And so he would just lay in there. Did you light candles? Did you have other wax in the room?
I mean, there's so many questions, so many unanswered questions.
So
Did
many.
he put a candle on her head?
Yeah, stay tuned for a whole episode about wax effigies.
I am very excited about that episode. Well, thank you guys for listening to another episode of Paris History, Avec, Hemingway. And don't forget to join Claudine's live virtual tours of Paris every Sunday. And you can learn more about that on ClaudineHemingway.com or reach out to Claudine directly through Instagram or Facebook to join her walks where she gives you fun histories and you see Paris in real time. So thanks so much, guys.
Thank you for listening to Paris History Avec Hemingway. If you want to find out some more, you could always find me on my Instagram page, Claudine Bleu Blanc Rouge, and that's BLEU, as in the French way to spell it. And each day I post a daily history lesson about a person or a place or something in Paris, or it's lots of fun facts. And then also at ClaudineHemingway.com, where you can also sign up for my newsletter there.